And Mr. President, the next time you have something to say about me, don't cop out through a racist and fake AI video. When I'm back in the Oval Office, say it to my face. Say it to my face.
Look, guys, there's no way to sugarcoat it. Nobody likes Democrats anymore. We have no voters left because of all of our woke trans bullshit. Not even black people want to vote for us anymore. Even Latinos hate us. So we need new voters. And if we give all these illegal aliens free health care, we might be able to get them on our side so they can vote for us. They can't even speak English, so they won't realize we're just a bunch of woke pieces of shit, you know, at least for a while until they learn English and they realize they hate us too.
Yesterday, the president posted an offensive deepfake AI video of Leader Jeffries and me with sombreros, fake music, impersonating my voice through AI. It wasn't me. Talking even more lies about health care and immigration. Listen to this, America. Hours away from a shutdown, which we don't want, the American people don't want, the president is busy trolling away on the internet like a 10-year-old. And that's exactly why Americans are going to blame him if the government shuts down. That's another proof point.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about the impending government shutdown sponsored by the Democrat Party. Now, disclaimer, by the time you see this video, who knows? Something could change, but as of right now, as of the making of this video, around 8 p.m., on September 30th, about 4 hours before the shutdown, it looks as if we're going to be headed towards a shutdown. Now, Democrats went to speak with President Trump at the White House yesterday in order to discuss their demands, their ridiculous demands for avoiding a government shutdown, and it just didn't work out too well.
What you're doing. Thank you very much, Linda. Okay, any questions, please?
Mr. President, as we inch closer to a government shutdown, this morning you said you might do a lot of layoffs. If DOGE is already reducing the federal workforce, why is it necessary to link more federal jobs cut to a shutdown?
Well, the Democrats want to shut it down, so when you shut it down, you have to do layoffs. So we'd be laying off a lot of people that are going to be very affected, and the Democrats, they're going to be Democrats. As you know, this country, no country can afford to pay for illegal immigration, health care for everybody that comes into the country, and that's what they're insisting. And obviously, I have an obligation to not accept that. That would affect everybody. You know, when I see what we're doing with AI and all the plants that are opening up in the country, $17 trillion is coming. And if you compare that to Biden, Biden had, in 4 years, less than $1 trillion. We have $17 trillion, more than that. I think it's going to be much more than that, David. By the end of this year, I think it's going to be far over that. It's a record. It's already a record in 8 months. It's a record by a lot. And so we're doing well as a country, so the last thing we want to do is shut it down. But a lot of good can come down from shutdowns. We can get rid of a lot of things that we didn't want, and they'd be Democrat things, but they want open borders. They want men playing in women's sports. They want transgender for everybody. They never stop. They don't learn. We won an election in a landslide. They just don't learn. So we have no choice. I have to do that for the country. Yes.
Yeah, so you see that, you heard that. Now, Democrats swore up and down that the Republicans are lying, that the Trump administration is lying about their intentions, why they're trying to shut down the government. They say, listen, this is not about giving free health care to illegals, right? This is what they claim.
You do want to provide health care to illegal immigrants that are here right now.
That's a Republican talking point, and it's shameful that you would continue. Of course not. I just said repeatedly that it is not. And we made that clear in the Oval Office to President Trump and to Republican leaders. We've made that clear repeatedly. It's a Republican talking point. In fact, I'm being gentle. It's a lie. We are fighting for the health care of the American people. And what we need to do is to address the Republican health care crisis.
However, Maxine Waters, who is a leader within the Democrat Party, was confronted on this accusation that the Democrats are trying to save funding healthcare for illegals, And let's just say that she could neither confirm nor deny that this was the intention of Democrats. In fact, I think she actually really confirmed that that's exactly what Democrats are trying to do. And she got very frustrated when called out on this. Take a look.
Do Democrats want to prioritize the health care of illegal aliens over a government shutdown? Because if the government does shut down, American
Excuse
employees are going
me,
to be furloughed.
stop it right there. We're not prioritizing. What we're doing is saying simply we want to keep the government open, and we want to work with the Republicans and have a bipartisan agreement to keep this government open, and health care is at the top of our agenda.
But aren't Democrats demanding health care for illegal aliens?
Democrats are demanding health care for everybody. We want to save lives. We want to make sure that health care is available to those who would die, but having the help of their government.
So you're good with the government shutdown, even if it means giving health care to people who aren't American citizens?
Well, that's what you're pushing on. What you're trying to do is you're standing here and you're trying to make me say that somehow we're going to put non-citizens over Americans. Quit it. Stop it. This is the kind of journalism we don't need.
No, I'm just
You're divisive. No, you're not.
Yeah, no, that's
you're being
what...
divisive. No, please.
I'm
You don't need to ask that question. You're just trying to get controversy here. You're not going to get it from me. We want to save health care for all people. Thank you.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Appreciate it.
All right, y'all, quick break from the show because this is important. Look, we talk a lot here about standing up for yourself, not letting big corporations, the government, or anybody else push you around. But what happens when real life hits, car accidents, workplace injuries, medical mistakes, and suddenly you're the little guy going up against a massive insurance company? Well, that's where Morgan & Morgan comes in. There's a reason reporters never run out of breaking news. Just like there's a reason Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm. They've recovered over $25 billion for 500,000 clients with more than 1,000 lawyers nationwide, and they're built on one simple idea. For the people. That means when you're hurt, you don't pay them a dime up front. They only get paid if you win. And trust me, these big companies have teams of big lawyers working against you. You need somebody just as powerful fighting for you. When you hire Morgan & Morgan, it's like hiring a legal army that has your back. If you're injured because of somebody else's negligence, you deserve to be paid. So if you've been hurt in an accident, at work, or anywhere in between, don't roll the dice alone. You can check out Morgan & Morgan. Their fee is free unless they win. You can start your claim now by clicking the link in the description or by scanning the QR code on screen from your phone's camera. Because at the end of the day, protecting yourself and your family isn't just common sense. It's conservative values in action. Wow. When you're not trying to save healthcare for illegals, the simple answer to that question is no. We're not trying to provide or save government-funded healthcare for illegal immigrants. We only want government-funded healthcare for American citizens. That would be the answer to that question. The fact that she refused to give what should be a very easy answer to that question tells you everything you need to know. I mean, she's from the state of California, which does provide government-funded Medicaid for illegals, right? That is something that California has done, okay? It tells you everything you need to know. She cannot come out here with a straight face and simply just answer the question in a way that unequivocally denies the accusations against the Democrats, right? Because, again, according to her, Democrats want to save healthcare for everybody, including illegal immigrants. She refused to differentiate. She refused to say, no, we want healthcare, government-funded healthcare for American citizens only. She couldn't say that. In fact, she got frustrated and she decided to walk away. She thinks that the question is a gotcha question, but it's not a gotcha question. It's not. It's a very simple, straightforward yes or no question, right? Couldn't answer it. Well, she did answer it. She said she wants to save it for everybody, right? Including illegals, okay? So, again, this is part of the reason why this is not going to work. Nobody is buying into this, right? Democrats are trying to shut down the government to save healthcare for illegals and as a virtue signal, and everybody can see through this. Everybody can see through it.
Well, the radical wing of the Democrat Party demanded that Chuck Schumer shut down the government, and he did that today. What that radical wing had told him to do was work with them through his war room. He had a war room going for the last 8 weeks to orchestrate the shutdown. But the cracks in the Democrats are already showing. When we had a vote on our proposal to keep the government open, the clean CR, right before the recess, we had 1 Democrat vote. Tonight, we had 3. So the cracks are beginning to show there is bipartisan support for keeping the government open, in spite of the fact that Chuck Schumer is forcing a government shutdown, regardless of the cost, regardless of the consequences to the American people. This truly is a Democrat-owned, Chuck Schumer-owned shutdown. There's no negotiation. It's a shakedown when he asked for $1 trillion for 4 weeks. It's absurd. We're happy to see that the Democrats are already starting to break from him, and we're going to continue to offer a clean CR on the floor of the Senate to open the government for the next 7 weeks, which is what this calls for.
I wonder what you make of this New York Times Siena College poll, Frank, that shows President Trump's approval rating largely unchanged since April, yes, but those groups, some of which you just named, that propelled his campaign last year, Hispanic voters, voters under 30, his net approval has dropped significantly. Should he be concerned about that?
He should be concerned about it, and the Democrats should be concerned because their numbers have dropped even further. When you ask about how well Donald Trump has handled some of these issues, he gets lukewarm, mediocre, sometimes even a little bit negative evaluations. But more impactfully for this election, the Democrats are doing even worse. So basically, there's disappointment with the White House. There is annoyance with the Democratic opposition. If you ask me who's in a better position, I would say to you that history says the Democrats should win. But based on where things stand right now, you have to give the Republicans the edge, even with a shutdown that could happen tonight.
Yeah, TC, now you heard that. Now, I've said this before and I'll say it again, okay? Because honestly, it does not take a genius. It does not take a rocket scientist. It does not take an expert, a CNN poll, to clearly see that the Democrats are full of it when it comes to this shutdown. Again, they've spent so much time in the past talking about how bad it is for the government to shut down. Now, all of a sudden, they support the shutdown. Now, the reason why they support a shutdown and they're trying to do it is because the radical far left got pissed off at Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries because they refused to have the government shut down earlier this year, right? They folded when it came to the shutdown battle, again, at the beginning of this year. They folded, and they got a whole lot of backlash for it. They don't want that to happen again, right? They're afraid of the radical far left base. Now, again, I don't blame them for being afraid. We've seen what the radical far left base is willing to do to people that they disagree with, right? So I'm just saying that some of that could be playing into this, right? The reality is that Democrats know that their voters see their party as weak, okay? And they're using this shutdown as an opportunity to virtue signal their strength against President Trump. Now, again, we're going to listen to CNN cover some of the numbers, the pressure on the leaders in the Democrat Party from the radical left base. And like I told you guys, this is stuff that I was telling you guys before this poll, but this poll essentially backs up my thesis in regards to why Democrats are doing this. So without further ado, let's get into it.
It's because their base thinks that their party leaders are weak. Look at this. Democrats on who has strong leaders. Look at this. 54% say neither party, 54% of Democrats say neither party has strong leaders. Among Republicans, 80% of their base thinks Republicans have strong leaders. Yet among Democrats, just get this, just 35% of Democrats say their party has strong leaders. When you add together this 54% with this 11%, we're talking about 2/3 of Democrats who say neither party or Republicans have stronger leaders, as compared to just 35% who say their own parties have strong leaders. As I said at the top, weak is how Democrats view their leaders in Washington.
But facing more pressure too, does this suggest, and we'll continue with this, but the question then is, does this suggest that the pressure is for them to cut a deal or to stand against what they think is what Republicans want? That remains kind of the question in and of this. But getting stuff done. Who gets stuff done?
Yeah, exactly. And this is the other thing. It's not just that Democrats think that their party leaders are weak. They also think they don't get anything done. I mean, take a look here. Okay, Democrats and who get things done. Again, it's just 50. We get this 50% of Democrats say neither party gets anything done. Just 41% of Democrats say their own party gets stuff done. When you add in this 9% of Democrats who say the Republican Party is more likely to get things done with neither party, we're talking about 3 in 5 Democrats who say neither party or Republicans are more likely to get things done than the Democratic Party. And again, that is the complete inverse of how Republicans feel, because 77% of Republicans think their own party leaders are likely to get things done, compared to just 41% of Democrats, about half that level, who think their own leaders get things done. Again, Democrats just don't think very highly of their party at this point, and that is why there's so much pressure on those leaders, in my mind, in Washington to actually do something that satisfies their base.
Add all of this up, what does it say about the view of the Democratic Party in general?
Yeah, if you think your party has weak leaders, if you think your party can't get anything done, well, this is, I think, the real pressure facing Democrats at this particular point. Democrats who think their parties need major changes or more, look at this. 57% of Democrats say their party needs major changes or more, compared to just 43% who say minor or no changes. Again, very different than the Republican Party, where 21% of Republicans, only 21%, say their party needs major changes or more. Again, a lot of pressure on Democratic leaders to actually do something their base likes for a change.
Yeah, so again, you don't need a CNN poll to tell you what's going on here, right? You just need common sense, okay? Again, I've said this before, seeing this poll, that again, the base of the Democrat Party sees the leadership as weak. They don't like the leadership, and therefore that's why the leadership is doing this. They're only doing this as a virtue signal to the radical left. The Democrat Party is completely captured by the radical left, and that is the biggest problem in our politics. A strong Democrat Party, a Democrat Party that's actually strong, would stand up to the radical left. They would work with the Trump administration to deport illegal immigrants, to get rid of these sanctuary cities, to secure the border, to fight crime. That is what a strong Democrat Party would do, right? It takes a strong Democrat Party to work with President Trump. A weak Democrat Party capitulates to far left extremism. And that's what you're saying here. Democrats trying to shut down the government to virtue signal to the far left is not a sign of strength. It's actually a sign of weakness. It shows that they're weak, that they can't stand up to what they know is a very toxic portion of their base. They know that a government shutdown is not going to help them. They know that a government shutdown actually is going to be counterproductive to the things that they claim that they stand for, right? Like, for example, protecting federal workers. A government shutdown is definitely not going to help that, right? It's not going to help that at all. But for whatever reason, they've decided, hey, we don't care about that stuff anymore. Virtue signaling to the far left base is more important to us than the things that we claim that we stand for, or what they stood for during past shutdowns, right? Again, it's fascinating. And I just believe that, again, this is not a sign of strength. This is a sign of weakness. The Democrat Party is weak. They refuse to stand up to the radical left. In fact, they continue to virtue signal to them, despite the fact that they know that the radical left is out of control. I did a story a long time ago, not too long ago, but maybe like a few months ago, where Democrats said privately, they told Axios, yeah, the radical base of the Democrat Party, they're demanding that Democrats get shot, right? You remember all of the protests against ICE when Democrats were showing up to ICE facilities randomly, again, to virtue signal to the far left? Apparently, the radical far left base, they were telling the establishment Democrats, no, it's not enough just for you to show up to the facilities unannounced. You need to be willing to get shot, right? AKA, you need to be willing to die in order to protect the illegal immigrants, to stop the ICE deportations. That's how radical the far left base is. And they know this. Democrats know this. But because they seek power and control more than anything, that's the only thing they care about, power and control, they're capitulating. Because they see this as a way to save their jobs. They're putting their own power and control over the country, over what is right? That's what they're doing. And it's really a damn shame. It really is a shame to see how weak the Democrat Party has become. And this, like I said, is not a sign of strength. This is a sign of weakness. We're going to see. My prediction is that, who knows, before midnight, they'll probably magically ended up striking a deal, okay? Or there will be a shutdown, but I don't think that the shutdown is going to last too long. I really do believe this shutdown is going to backfire in Democrats' faces because ultimately Republicans have a clean continuing resolution on the table in order to keep the government open. So pointing the finger at Republicans who are all on board with keeping the government open as is, right? And saying that they're the reason why the government's shutting down, it's just silly, right? Nobody is falling for this. And I just don't think that this is going to work out well for Democrats, but we will see. We will see. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.